Welcome back to Good Knit Kisses. I'm your host Kristen, and today we are going to be binding off on the triple knit rib stitch. And again, this is a rib stitch that uses 3 knits on one side and 3 on the other, but we're only doing E-wraps, and you get the illusion that you have made pearls. See my other video for the cast on and the actual stitch. So today we are using the Stretchy Bind Off. This is a stretchy basic bind off. We're just adding a step to the regular basic bind off. Your working strand is coming from this last peg. We're going to E-wrap, peg 2, knit off, move peg 2 to peg 1, knit off, E-wrap, peg 1, knit off, move it over to peg 2. This is your new peg 1. E-wrap and knit off on peg 2, move it over to peg 1, knit off, E-wrap peg 1, knit off, move peg 1 over to the old peg 2. Now you have a peg 1. Let's do that again. E-wrap 2, knit off, move, knit off, E-wrap, knit off, and move. Now, we are on the front board. On this particular one, I had a slip stitch on the front, so I had 4 stitches. Now I'm going to move to the back row, and I'm going to wrap. Now on this back one, an E-wrap for the backboard actually goes between the 2 stitches and around, so it's going to look like a U-knit, but it really would be an E when pulling it this way. So I'm going to go ahead and sort of make an E, and we're going to E-wrap and knit off this backboard, and then now we're going to move it to the front just for a moment, knit off. It's the same thing. Okay, we're just doing it in sequence. So now we've knitted off. Now we're going to E-wrap again, knit off. Okay, now we're going to move it all the way back to the backboard. Okay, so now we have completed all 4 of these stitches. We're going to do the same thing down here. Whoops, you probably saw that before I did. All right, we're moving this over, and now we're going to E-wrap the second stitch right here. Knit off, and we're going to move 2 to 1 and knit off, E-wrap again, knit off, and now move it. Same thing. So now we're going to move these over as well. I'm going to get a closer view to you, but before I do that, I want to show you this is actually the other end of my panel, and you can see the cast on side. And what I had done to get this was a double E-wrap method, where when I double wrapped to cast on, I double wrapped to cast on, and I kept continuing on. So it's going to have this nice flexible edge here, nice and stretchy. Let me zoom in, and I'll join you in a second. Just to show you closer, we've got our number 1 and our number 2 peg, and we're going to E-wrap that number 2, knit off, move the 2 over to the 1, and we're going to pull on that working strand a little bit, and we're going to knit off. And now we're going to move this over. Okay, so we're going to move our way from the back board to the front board here. So in order to do that, we're going to E-wrap this peg here, because see how these 2 aren't connected? You have a spacing here. So because we've done groups of 3, and then we move over and we've got groups of 3. So do not go from here to bind off. You'll have a mess. Don't be mad at me. Okay, let me get my working strand out of the way. So between these two stitches here is your number 2. You wrap and knit off and move it to the backboard and tighten that up a little bit. It doesn't have to be very tight, just snug and not loose. Knit that off, and now we can move that completely to the front board. I hope you could see that better this time. We'll do this front board one more section so you can see it again. Again, we're going to knit off. We're going to E-wrap and knit off number 2. Move number 2 to number 1. Pull that working strand, knit it off, E-wrap, knit off, and move it over. Again, repeat that. E-wrap number 2, knit off, move it over, knit off, E-wrap again, knit off, and move it over. Okay, that completes that side, and then you'll move to the back. So I understand this is as long as your project is. If you've only got a few of these ridges wide, then you're almost done. And join me when I get to the end of my panel. I've used the entire length of the all-in-one board. Okay, so I've got a few more stitches left, a few more sets, and we'll be ready to finish this cast off, this bind off. And I've got a set of 3 right here, 1, 2, 3, that's going to get moved. But I've got this last of the 3 in the back, and I just want to remind you, so when you get ready to move down here, you still want to move your 2, which is on this next set here, back to this one here. So you're going to go to the back board, knit that over, okay, and then you always want to E-wrap. E-wrap that. And now you want to see that you are going to pick this up. Sorry, I'm off screen. You're going to pick this up and move it to the front board here. All right. And so now you've got 3, 1, 2, 3 on this set here. If you can see, this is where it ends. So we've got 1, 2, 3 stitches on here. So we're going to keep casting this off. Just move with me while I talk. We're going to take the 2 and E-wrap and move, knit off, and then E-wrap and move. So every time you're E-wrapping, you're going to move that stitch. So you'll have a working yarn coming from it. Okay, so now I've got these 2 left on here. So I'm going to E-wrap, and move, knit over. You're never doing 2 over 1 in this. And then E-wrap and move. All right, so there's that last one. And make sure before you move to the back board that you're not immediately putting this in the back. So now that we're finished with this set of 3, we need to start this set, but this is our number 2 peg. So this is a 1 and this is a 2. So we're going to take our number 2 peg and we're going to E-wrap and move. Same thing. E-wrap and move. And just lift it up and over and across. Okay, you don't have to worry about the twisting or everything. Just lift it up and over. There we go. So we've moved it over and we knit it off, and now we did an E-wrap and move. So there's the E-wrap and there's the move. And now we have our set of 3 in the back. 1, 2, 3. You can see where the 3 ends because we have this rail, this little line coming across in the back. It's your ladder yarn. So see, I almost started doing it here. So you're going to E-wrap number 2 peg here. Sorry, this is a weird angle for me. All right. Knit off. Move that over. Knit that off. Still E-wrap and move. So you don't move it until you've E-wrapped it. And move it over. E-wrap. And move. And E-wrap that. And you can tell, by the way, before I move on, so I've got this right here, and if you're like, oh, do I need to E-wrap this? Okay, if I have two loops coming off of it, so there's a loop on the back here that's been knitted off, and then there's another loop behind it, which is that previous stitch. If you see where your working strand is coming from, it looks like it's coming from behind one of these back loops. So you need one more wrap. So you're going to E-wrap here and knit that over, and now you can move it. Okay, and so now we've got our set here, the last set of 3. My apologies, I'm behind something in the camera and it's hard to see. Okay. Move the 2. E-wrap and move the 1. Lost it. Okay, we've got this last set. It's a set of 4 here because I had a slip stitch on it. You wrap and move, same thing. Still E-wrap and move. All right, moving our 2. E-wrap and move. Okay, so just want to point out that this ending is a little bit different because we have a slip stitch on here, and because we're doing a stretchy bind off, not a crochet bind off on this particular one. I'm going to pick up my second to last stitch and hold that and move my slip stitch onto that peg here that I just pulled up. Put this one back on, and we're going to treat these 2 stitches together. And so now that we're ready to move, we're calling this a 2 to 1. We're going to E-wrap and knit these 2 over this one. Okay, so we had knitted, there was 2 on the bottom, and then we knitted them up and over this one that we just wrapped. And now we're going to wrap this last peg here. So wrap and knit over and move that on over. Knit that over. And one more time, wrap that and knit it over. And now we're going to pull that loop, cut your strand, and pull it off the loom. So now that I've got this off, I'm going to pull that strand out, and then I have this nice little edge here, which is close to my beginning side. See this beginning? Whoops. This is the beginning edge, and it's soft. This edge that you'll have here, you can tell because it's got a crochet edge on it, but it's nice and loose and stretchy, just like our beginning side. So these sides are going to more closely resemble each other. You don't have to make any changes to your first side. And now I can stitch these panels together. If I have two panels side by side, I line them up and we can stitch them together, and I'll show you that on another video. Thanks for joining me at Good Knit Kisses. Have a great day and happy looming!